Today is the 8th of December 2021 and I'm your host, Glenora Shipura. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Network Media Hub at 1. Stay tuned for news reports from Otavi and Okambahe, as well as city politics from the capital of Windhoek. But first, for the latest observations about the new Omicron variant of the COVID-19 virus. Papers like The Economist and The Hindu is reporting that the initial fears about the Omicron seems to have been exaggerated. 2 weeks since the emergence of this variant in the Gauteng province of South Africa, signs indicate that it appears to be less deadly than previous waves. The Hindu reports much less people admitted to hospital, furthermore require supplemental oxygenation than during the first 3 waves. An analysis by researchers at the South African Medical Research Council, SAMRC, shows although this situation may change, researcher Farid Abdullah says current trends are not showing cause for alarm. This graphic by our World in Data compares current 7-day averages of new cases in South Africa with the averages in Namibia. Relative to the populations of the two countries, it is evident that the third wave experienced during the past winter hit Namibia much harder than South Africa. There's also a clear increase in new cases in both countries. We'll be back after the commercial break with news reports from our journalists in the field. Moving on to our video news. In our first video clip, the Otavi Town Council yesterday elected its new office bearers for the next year. Isaac Hawab Oswapo was re-elected as mayor and is deputized by Frida Mavula, also representing the ruling party. Enzo Amwele was there.
Good morning once again. Allow me first and foremost to thank God for placing me at this position of being given another opportunity to serve you as Mayor of Otavi. It is indeed my sincere honor and privilege to be accorded the opportunity to further lead Otavi Town and its people for the next 12 months. I'm humbled by your confidence placed in me, and I pledge to lead the town with diligence, transparency, integrity, and honesty. On the onset, I would like to use this opportunity to thank the SWAPO Party for the trust, confidence, and honor bestowed upon me to lead the progressive town of Otavi and its people.
I do hereby reaffirm to serve the Otavi Council as per my oath of office without fear, prejudice or favor. So help me God. Okay. Congratulations, members of the Otavi Council.
Moving on, Popular Democratic Movement, or PDM, broke ranks with a coalition in the Windhoek City Council, known as the so-called Progressive Forces. Party leader Mekhendra Venani explains why and says his party was not invited when the IPC, the Independent Patriots for Change, consulted with the Landless People's Movement about working together. Ogon Tlage provided this footage.
On record that PDM chose to stay out because we were not consulted. on the formation of a new government. We had preliminary meetings with our coalition partners to say that let's go and negotiate. We were the party from the onset that was in agreement that all progressive forces or all the opposition parties should be in one government. We were there. So when we were told that other parties like LPM is going to come, we didn't have any objection whatsoever. The only objection that we had was that the president of IPC, Itula, was negotiating with one party, leaving other partners out. And then we said that is wrong. When we are negotiating with a partner, all of us must be on board to create a synergy amongst parties. So when you are entering government, all of us should have agreed. There was no agreement on us who becomes what. We were not even consulted on who becomes mayor, who becomes what. And we know what is the reason why political parties such as ours was left behind. And this is something that should never happen again. We know that we are the kingmakers. Because currently the city of Windhoek has only 7, the government is only having 7 seats. They need 8 to govern without any hindrance. And we are at that 8th position. But we didn't stay out because we are the kingmaker. We stayed out because we were not consulted. There was no consultative meeting that took place for us to arrive at the government.
Moving on to our third and final video for the day. Enzo Amwela traveled to Okombahe on Monday, where the Ministry of Education handed over newly renovated school infrastructure funded by the Africa Development Bank at the Dibasen High School. This includes 2 hostel blocks, 14 classrooms, 1 science laboratory, a generator, and a water tank valued at 24 million Namibian dollars.
And the funds that went into renovation of the buildings are millions. Dibasen Hostel, the scope of work was around about 24 million, if I round it up. 24 million to renovate 1 hostel block for boys, 1 hostel block for girls, 14 classrooms, 2 science labs, 1 science lab, let me correct that one, and then 1 library. There is a generator set that was installed new, a water tower, as you can see, also a new one. Sewer lines of the whole school were replaced new, and then also new fire and domestic lines for the whole school. In addition to that, the government also provided funds to the region, and we are grateful to Mrs. Tanisis, who are here today with us, the Director of Finance in the Ministry of Education at head office. She is carrying a Rongo heart close to her heart, and now I know why, because she's from Greece. We got an additional fund of 36 million, and with that 36 million, which we call the COVID fund, we have renovated 18 ablution blocks at different schools. We have constructed 24 ablution blocks at different schools, and we also renovated 9 blocks of hostels at different hostels in the region.
A day like no other in recent memory. I'll take the words of one of our esteemed authors in the country, Saki Nicodemus. This year he published a book titled The CEO Principle. And in that book, he has the following words, and I quote: "Life as we know it is about choices. And every choice we make, whether good or bad, right or wrong, always has implications and code. I'll repeat the code. It says, or Osaki Nicodemus says, life as we know it is about choices.
Strike it gold and win 5,000 Namibian dollars in cash with Neo Paints. Simply buy Neo Paints products from the selected range and stand a chance to get one of 12 mystery buckets filled with gold paint. All 12 winners will each get 3 extra paint buckets equal to their purchase. One to replace the gold paint, the second to use on your project, and the third to give to a charity of their choice. One winner can score another 10,000 Namibian dollars by showing us your creative use of the golden paint. The best project wins the cash. Offer is valid from 27 September to 18 December at your favorite hardware store nationwide. Visit us at neopaints.com for more competition details and follow us on Facebook for weekly competition updates. Neo Paints, a coat of excellence.
Moving on to our COVID-19 monitor. Although new vaccinations increased with about 20% last Monday and Tuesday, the campaign ran out of steam later during the past week. By Sunday, 12.75% of Namibia's population were fully vaccinated. During the past week, a total of 14,591 doses of vaccine were administered countrywide, compared to 14,151 the week before. This represents an increase of only 3%. Over the first 5 days of December, first vaccinations numbered 6,024 and 1,052 people visited vaccination centers for their follow-up jabs. At this rate, less doses will be used in December than the 40,000 first jabs and 20,000 second jabs during November. Our second slide shows all vaccinations since the first doses were administered on the 19th of March, as well as the percentage of each region's population that were fully vaccinated by Sunday. For Kavango West, this rate increased from 26 to 29%, while Hardab remains at 20%, or 1 in every 5 residents. In Oshana, around 9% of inhabitants were fully vaccinated, pulling equal to Omusati, Oshikoto, and Kavango East. The vaccination rate in Erongo increased to 16%, drawing level with the Windhoek district, while the rate in both Kunene and Karas increased to 17%. The percentage of fully vaccinated people remained the same in all other regions. Up next is the front pages of Namibia's daily papers, but first we take another short commercial break. And for our front page news, the Namibia reports that 248 civil court cases were lodged against the Namibian police since last year. Only a fraction, 23 cases, have been finalized, and in 5 cases, payment to clients have been approved, but must still be made. According to spokesperson Kaona Shikwambi, the force's task is made more difficult by drunk and aggressive individuals. According to Republic Gain, monthly debt to micro-lenders during the second quarter of 2021 increased with 64%. The average Namibian borrowed 2,345 per month to make ends meet, up from 1,429 when the recession started back in 2016. Inflation on key items like food and transport is part of the reasons for this growth. Today's New Era shares the uplifting story of Melvin Masulu, a blind man who started a living museum at Ngoma. Masulu lost his sight 16 years ago, but is an inspiration to many around him. Finally, the German language Allgemeine Zeitung again leads with a report on the search for oil in the Kavango region by the Canadian mining company Raccoon Africa, and its lead photo shows anglers at Walvis Bay during the annual copper run that commenced on Monday. And now let's have a look at the inside pages. Today's Market Watch delves deeper into micro-lending trends in Namibia, explaining increases with various graphics. Loans by term lenders who pays their debt over longer periods has also increased. On page 2 of Republican, you can read about 400 million Namibian battery plant planned close to Omaruru in the Orongo region to store sun energy at the Ombaru plant. The project is supported by the German Development Bank and is first of its kind in Southern Africa. Nampower, Namibia's electricity provider, will provide 100% of the required funding. In the Namibian Popular Democratic Movement, take a clear stance at the controversial legislation on foreign and local investment that was recently tabled in the National Assembly, only to be withdrawn shortly thereafter. The Namibian Broadcasting Corporation can, according to Namibian Sun, not unilaterally proceed with the limiting employees' leave days or not grant salary increases based on notches on its pay scales, the Office of the Labour Commissioner has ordered. While New Era yesterday reported on the reinstatement of ONIPA's Chief Executive Officer, or CEO, the town council here has vowed to remove him again as soon as proper procedures are finalized. He is suspected of underhand dealings with a tender. Today's last tidbit comes from the Allgemeine Zeitung. At its annual general meeting, the Namibian Professional Hunters Association elected Axel Kramer as its new chairperson. This industry is like tourism in general, still faces headwind due to the corona pandemic.
I'm gonna cross that river, Jordan. Yes, I am. I'm gonna leave my heart wide open. Yes, I am. Let me tell you, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Oh, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yeah, baby, yes, I am. Yes, I
And with that, we have reached the end of our show. From me, Glenn Roshipura, and the rest of the NMH at One team, we would like to send our condolences and apologies for some inconveniences, technical inconveniences experienced. But from us, please do join us again tomorrow, same time, same place. But before that, up next, the weather.